Coming up on today's show, we're going to take a look at the San Francisco 49ers playoff chances as well as the NFC playoff picture and how they can get into the big dance. But first, we have to send a thank you card to the Miami Dolphins for taking down the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. It was an ugly, sluggish game. I was at the airport watching it. I couldn't believe I was watching it, but the Dolphins taking down the Saints greatly improved the Niners' playoff chances. So, to show some love to the Fins, let's go Fins up and hit that thumbs up icon to like the video. Let's get into today's show looking at the 49ers playoff chances. All right, you're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior, coming your way on today's show, taking a look at the 49ers playoff path, playoff scenarios, NFC playoff picture, and all that jazz, because at 8-7, San Francisco with a golden opportunity to get into the big dance. And I think when this football team is playing a clean and physical brand of football, they can mess around and hang with some of the top teams in the NFC. Now, when we take a look at the NFC playoff picture, this is how things shake out right now. Green Bay, number one seed in the NFC with a record of 12-3. And we have all of these scenarios kind of pinpointed by all of the different numbers and letters. The Green Bay Packers have clinched the NFC North with that 12-3 record. The Dallas Cowboys, prior to that Sunday night football dominating win over the Washington football team, able to lock down the NFC East with that 11-4 record. They have not locked down that number 2 seed, though. The Los Angeles Rams have overtaken the Arizona Cardinals as the leaders in the NFC West with that 11-4 record. The Bucs locked down the NFC South with an 11-4 record. All of those teams, including the Arizona Cardinals, have clinched playoff berths. This is where it starts to get really interesting. Niners, even with that loss on Thursday Night Football at Tennessee, hold on and maintain that number 6 spot in the wild card race. The Philadelphia Eagles now in at number 7, overtaking the Minnesota Vikings, and some other teams to keep an eye out for. Minnesota at 7-8. Atlanta somehow at 7-8. New Orleans at 7-8 as well. Good news for San Francisco. They have a head-to-head tiebreaker over the Eagles, over Minnesota, over Atlanta. So when we look back, revisionist history, maybe we're looking at those 3 wins as very big wins for San Francisco. Now, I do want to simplify and break down all of these 49ers clinching scenarios because there's a lot to play for on Sunday against the Houston Texans. So let's run through all of these. I tried to simplify them as best as I could. If the 49ers win their final 2 games, they would be assured a playoff berth regardless of any other outcomes. Very good news for the Niners. The Niners own the head-to-head tiebreaker against the Eagles, Vikings, and Falcons, as I mentioned. A 3-way tie between the 49ers, Eagles, and Saints would have knocked the Niners out. But with the Saints going down to the Dolphins, as I mentioned, greatly improved San Francisco's playoff chances. If the season ended today, the Niners would play the Rams in the wild card round, meaning back-to-back games at SoFi Stadium outside of Los Angeles, because in Week 18, the Niners do travel to take on the Rams. The 2 teams face each other in Week 18 to close out the regular season. This upcoming weekend at Levi's Stadium in front of a packed and rowdy crowd in Santa Clara, the 49ers can lock up a playoff berth with a Week 17 win over the Texans and a Saints loss to the Carolina Panthers. Now, we don't know who's going to start at quarterback for New Orleans. Is it going to be Taysom Hill, Ian Book, Trevor Siemian? Who the hell knows? What I do know, it bodes well for the Niners' playoff chances. So, Niners sitting somewhat pretty. They have a really good shot at making it into the tournament, even with that Week 16 loss to the Tennessee Titans. I still can't get over it. Week 17 game against the Houston Texans, and really for the last couple of months, San Francisco has played excellent football. They're one of the hottest teams in the NFL, even with that loss in Nashville on Thursday night. They have won 5 of their last 7. Totally winnable game going up against the Texans, no matter who plays at quarterback, whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. And as we know, against the Los Angeles Rams, the Niners have won 3 straight, and Kyle Shanahan has owned Sean McVay in this rivalry over the next couple of years. As for the playoff picture outlook for the Los Angeles Rams, here's what it looks like right now. Week 16, nice little win against the Minnesota Vikings as Minnesota was vying for their playoff chances in the wild card. Week 17, a tough game on the road cross-country against the Baltimore Ravens. Hopefully Baltimore is able to get Lamar Jackson back. And the Rams have now won 4 games in a row. They're all on a tear ever since the Niners had dominated them in primetime about a month ago. Playoff picture for the Arizona Cardinals. They continue to skid. They continue to go downhill. They continue to really struggle. And you want to peak at the right time. That's why I like where the Niners are at right now. A team like the Rams is dangerous. Green Bay, Dallas, Tampa Bay, they're all peaking. Arizona is doing the opposite. 3 losses in a row. Back-to-back losses in ugly fashion to the Colts and the Detroit Lions, and it doesn't get any easier in Week 17 against the Dallas Cowboys on the road because the Cowboys have plenty to play for. They're trying to lock up potentially the number 1 or 2 seeds in the NFC. And we're not even going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks at length, but let's throw some shade to those folks in the Pacific Northwest because the Seattle Seahawks, after a loss this weekend to the Chicago Bears, have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. So to say bye-bye to the Sea Chickens, to wish them a good offseason or a bad offseason, let's hope that Russell Wilson doesn't come back to Seattle. Spam deuces in the comment section. Won't miss you, Seattle. Get out of here and that noise. Now, if you want to bet on maybe a Niners win against the Houston Texans, a playoff outlook, division races as well, you can do so thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. 125% deposit bonus if you go to chatsports.com/49bet and enter the promo code Niners125. What does that mean? Well, this deal applies for anybody, no matter where you live, but you put $100 into your account, you get an additional $125 to game with. We'll take a look at the remaining schedules for all of these teams in the NFC West, including those Niners. So they lose against the Titans. This weekend, they kick off the new year against the Houston Texans. Cannot believe 2021 is about to be in the rear view. And then they round out the regular season. Big game against the Los Angeles Rams. They could be fighting for their playoff lives. They could be fighting for a lot more, especially playoff seeding against Los Angeles. Rams remaining schedule. They take down Minnesota over the weekend. They travel to Baltimore to take on hopefully Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, and then another really good rivalry game between the Rams and Niners rounds out the 2021 regular season. Cardinals remaining schedule. It's pretty difficult. They lose to the Colts after that loss to the Lions. They go on the road to take on a good Cowboys team that is surging upward right now, playing excellent football defensively, and they seem to be getting it together offensively as well. And then we can never rule out Seattle beating Arizona either, so maybe San Francisco can overtake Arizona in that 5th spot in the NFC Wildcard picture. On the bubble in the NFC right now, a couple of teams that are trying to breathe down the neck for San Francisco. You look in the rear view, you see them right behind them. Vikings at 7-8, Falcons at 7-8, Saints at 7-8, Washington football team not eliminated. Big game between Washington and Philadelphia this upcoming weekend in Landover, Maryland. But the good news for San Francisco, you have the tiebreakers over Philadelphia head-to-head, Minnesota head-to-head, and Atlanta head-to-head. So, NFC playoff picture, Green Bay number 1, Dallas number 2, LA number 3, Bucks at number 4, followed by the Cardinals, Niners, and Eagles. Right now, San Francisco sitting in a very good spot to control their own destiny. Shout out to the Miami Dolphins for coming through with that win. Certainly going to be a fascinating last 2 weeks of the regular season. So before we get out of here on this segment, your confidence level in the Niners making the playoffs, where does it stand right now? 10, they got a 100% chance. 1, I worry about this club. You let me know and sound off in the comments section right now.